It's 9 a.m. Call this meeting to order. If you can, would you please stand and join me for a moment of silence in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for coming this morning. The first item on the agenda will be the open forum. Do we have anyone signed up for open forum this morning?
Chair,
Yes.
do we need to approve the agenda?
I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. First item on the agenda is the approval of the regular meeting proposed agenda. I would entertain a motion for that at this point.
Mr. Chair,
Moved by Commissioner Gray. Seconded by Commissioner Danlowski. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, do we have anyone for open forum? Thank you very much.
Yes, Chair, we have, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people signed up today. The first one is Nancy Hasset of Big Lake speaking on ICE.
Good morning.
Good morning. So yes, my name is Nancy Hasset. I've been a citizen of Sherburne County for 33 years. I've been involved in immigrant rights for the past 6 years. Let me start by acknowledging the commissioners have no power of the purse when it comes to Sherburne County having a contract with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE. But the commissioners do represent the people of Sherburne County. In addition, there are two parties at the table when it comes to the ICE contract: the Sherburne County Sheriff and the U.S. government. As citizens of the United States, we have an interest. Also, the people who are detained are not Sherburne County residents. We are advocates for those people. I've had firsthand experience with several people who were in detention. To a person, they committed no offense. They were held for anywhere from 6 to 18 months. And again, to a person, they were released with all charges dropped. Unfortunately, some lost their jobs, their homes, even their families, because of unwarranted detention. We need to educate people to get rid of the false narrative that undocumented immigrants are rapists and murderers. And as for those who have been accused of felonies, those charges are dealt with before they enter the ICE system. These are not the people we're talking about. Most of you are aware that several of us demonstrate almost every Wednesday afternoon along the service road. When we started in 2018, we had support from maybe 50% of motorists. Now it's probably around 90%. We occasionally have someone stop and ask why we're there. Once we share the story, we learn they were unaware Sherburne County has a contract with ICE. All say they do not support it. In particular, they do not support the conditions that include no outside recreation. Two requirements stipulated on page 152 of the National Detention Standards, Revision 2019, are: 1, if outdoor recreation is available at the facility, it shall be offered at a reasonable time of day. Weather permitting, each detainee shall have access for at least 1 hour per day, 5 days per week, or 6 or more hours per week, at least 4 days per week. If only indoor recreation is available, detainees shall have access for at least 1 hour each day and shall have access to natural light. I wonder if you're aware of this requirement of Sherburne's facilities' lack of outdoor recreation. Most of you have heard Christ quoted, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for the one of the least of the brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." You know how the rest of it goes. If you're Roman Catholic, Methodist, Presbyterian, Episcopalian, ELCA, or one of several smaller denominations, your church has come out against immigrant detention. So I'm here with one request. I ask that you as commissioners go on the record as not supporting the county's contract with ICE. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next, please.
Next, we have Patty Keing of St. Cloud speaking on ICE as well.
Good morning. My name is Patty Keing. I'm an organizer with Fei Justicia, and we are a Latino faith organization who works across central Minnesota, including Sherburne County. We have been in this fight for years because many of our community members have been locked inside this ICE detention center. We've had many separated and broken families because of this jail. I would like to address the pure mental anguish detainees within these walls have expressed to us, and particularly one detainee who has become like family to me, like a son, a brother. He first states, when you arrive at this prison, you automatically no longer have any rights. When you want to file a complaint, there are retaliations against you. They put you in the hole often. For those of you who don't know what the hole is, I'll explain. It's a very depressing place where you are locked in a dark box for up to 24 hours or longer. They take you there when something happens or when you do something they do not like. In the hole, you have no access to anything. There is no clock, there is no daylight, there are no books to read. Many times they take your clothes off to prevent you from hurting yourself or committing suicide. Just as I thought many times since being there for a long time, I thought of hanging myself with my own sheets because I could no longer bear the suffering to which they were subjecting me. I want to explain another of the methods they use to intimidate us. Usually early in the morning, these savage people come to intimidate all detainees with dogs and firearms, with the excuse that they are looking for drugs and weapons. They arrive at the cell, they tie you up like an animal, mistreat you, strip you of all your belongings. Many of my friends and I cried every day, knowing that there were no human rights for those of us who were in captivity. I have a lot of anger against everyone involved in this prison. They caused me insomnia, depression, suicidal thoughts. My body is alive, but my soul is dead. And I was not like that. I was always a happy person. And they were very mean to us. But what I want to say is I've heard that the ICE contract is only on Sheriff Brott's decision. But I think as members of the community, we need you to look at the contract. We need you to think about this. We need you to make some decision. Thank you.
Can hold applause to the end, please, so we can move these along quicker. We have a limited time for this morning. We have a very full schedule.
Next is Fabiola Velasquez of Sartell, also speaking on ICE.
Good morning. My name is Fabiola Velasquez. I'm a community organizer with Fe Justicia. Our mission is that members of the Latinx community advocate for themselves and with others with strength and dignity. Therefore, at my organization, we work really close with the community to make it a better place to live. One of the main things that we concentrate on is to build relationships and agreements with the law enforcement, with the aim that the community feels safe interacting with the government. That's why we have been here before, and that's why we're here again today. It is key to work on the safety part, because currently we are afraid that more people is detained and treated in inhumane ways. And I include myself in this statement. Because I had a family member detained in this county year before. I do not wish on anyone what my family had to go through, the mental and emotional stress of having a relative detained here. I know that my family is not the only one, because at my job, I have met many, many, many families that have been through the same situation. That's why now I work so hard for my community so they are not more separated families. I ask you to do everything possible to not renew this contract with ICE. Thank you.
Next, we have Layla Alland of Elk River, also speaking on ice.
Good morning. My name is Layla Alland, and I am from Elk River, and I've lived here 34 years. I represent the faith community of Holy Trinity Episcopal Church downtown. We're a hop, step, and a jump away from you here. And I want to read a letter to you from our bishop in Minnesota. He is in charge of the Episcopal Church faith community and resides down in Minneapolis. He's been here before to speak to advocates. Dear commissioners, we are living in a moment when global, political, and economic forces are driving tens of thousands of people to seek refuge in the United States. I and the faith communities I serve have witnessed firsthand the unimaginable violence and persecution that has led them to seek a new life in Minnesota. And we are doing everything we can to support them in finding and making that new life. I'm writing to ask you to help us in that work by not leasing space in our county jail to the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Our nation and our beloved state have been built on the principle of offering welcome and refuge for those fleeing oppression. For more than 2 centuries, we have received wave after wave of the world's marginalized into the fabric of our common life. We are great because of our diversity and stronger to find new life We are great because of our diversity and stronger through our compassion. The practice of treating those desperate to find new life as criminals with detention and deportation as primary responses flies in the face of everything America has stood for and is being called to stand for in this moment. The faith I and millions of Minnesotans profess teaches that we have no great moral obligations that offering welcome to the stranger. As Americans and Minnesotans, we will be stronger as we choose the posture of embrace over the politics of exclusion. I urge you to help us make that choice in Sherburne County. Signed, Craig Loya, Bishop, State of Minnesota. And I echo that from our faith community. We have to look at the compassion and the love between human beings, just our basic love of human beings. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Nancy Welty of Big Lake speaking on road construction.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Nancy Welty. I'm a resident of Sherburne County and have been for 33 years. Recently, we had some reconstruction approved of our road, County Road 83. And not long ago, the stakes were placed as to how this was going to change. This is a really tiny road. In the whole scheme of Sherburne County, this road is only 2.5 miles long. But it caused an uproar for all of us out there. We have 2 curves that are 25 mile an hour each. The proposed plan is to change those to 40 mile an hour. We're very concerned that the speeds on the road will increase, which already seem to be rather fast. Not only that, but in order to change those curves, an excessive amount of land is going to be needed, taken from the residents, 2 residents in particularly. And it will also bring that road closer to the houses and any outbuildings that are already there and have been approved to be there. In addition, there's going to be, suddenly, the shoulders are going to be widened to 8 feet. Now, that means that you have to buy land from all of us in order to do that. In order to buy that land, a lot of people are going to have to move livestock fencing. They're going to have to give up screening from the road that has grown naturally and give up landscaping that they've put in to increase the value of their houses. Most of us have lived in our places for 30 years. We're retired. And we've planned for our landscaping and our fencing according to the consistent long-term right-of-way limits. And then suddenly, you guys moved the goalpost on us. Given that we've been here that long, we're all pretty much in the autumn of our lives. Any new plantings, we're never going to see to maturity. With the sudden right-of-way, we're trying to figure out who is being accommodated by this. We've heard different things, that it's because of funding, for it's pedestrians, but we're not sure. We would just like to find out from the county what is true in all of this. And hopefully we can get the county to come out and meet with us and take a look at what is truly going on the ground, and not just from a map from the sky. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and please email me.
Pardon me?
Email me.
I will.
I'll get the contact information, have the county engineer connect with you if you just want to catch me over here.
Our last speaker of open forum is Brett Collier of Big Lake, and he'll be speaking on solar.
Good morning, Brett.
Good morning. Brett Collier, Big Lake. I didn't get to see the agenda until just as I was going to bed last night, so I'm going to be winging this. Your agenda item 5.4, 1 megawatt solar field. I've got about 3 hours worth of material on this. I'm going to start at the end. We need to, if not deny, at least table this action item today. I have offered a number of times, and will still offer if someone wants to do a workshop on solar and wind and so forth here for you folks' benefit. But let's start, why are we doing this in the first place? It's all in the name of climate change. If we listen to Dr. Patrick Moore, one of the founders of Greenpeace, he will tell you that human-induced global warming is a complete fabrication. In fact, when you look at all the data as far as carbon dioxide and world temperatures, carbon dioxide levels lag the changes in temperatures by about 800 years. Thus, the cause can never become the effect. Temperature causes carbon levels to go up and down. Now, specifically to the solar farm itself. Solar salesmen make stereotypical car salesmen look like Mother Teresa. This 1 megawatt farm, it's hard to get 3 hours into 3 minutes. Solar is one of the most expensive ways to produce electricity. 1 megawatt, Minnesota is one of the worst places that you can use a solar farm. You can put solar fields in. We only have maybe a capacity factor of 19% here because we don't have much electricity. Solar panels, they degrade by 0.8% every year. So if you were getting 1 megawatt out this year, you'd be getting less until after 20 years, you're getting maybe 0.85 megawatts. These things suck power at night. Has that been in there? They're about, in the agenda item, there's supposed to be $100,000 put aside for dismantling and cleaning up the property at the end. What's $100,000 going to be in 20, 25 years? The lease on the land is 35 years. Really? It's about a $50K subsidy per acre of tax money that goes into each solar farm. This is a 50-acre, if I read correctly, project. $2.5 million to put this in. I don't know the landowners. I don't know how they're being reimbursed for this. Are they just getting rent? Are they getting a portion of what the generation is on there? That needs to be looked at. Well, 3 hours. But if you would in the future, please talk to me. I'd love to talk to you.
Thank you. And at this point, we'll have to, is there more people signed up?
There is nobody else signed up.
Oh, outstanding. Great. Then we should be able to move on. Thanks, everyone, for coming and speaking. We should be able to move on to the consent agenda. I am not aware of any changes to the consent agenda. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as
So moved.
moved by Commissioner Holtz,
I'll second that.
seconded by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. First item on our regular agenda will be announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Just a few announcements for you today. Looking at the calendar first, just a note, a reminder that tomorrow evening is the Sherburne County Association of Township meeting. We have posted as an open meeting so that 3 or more of you can attend. So just a FYI on that in case you're planning on attending. Second of all, just a reminder too that coming up on the 25th of this month is the Cybersecurity for Decision Makers Conference up in St. Cloud, sponsored by MCIT. Again, if you'd let us know if you're going to attend so we can post if there are 3 or more attending that. It is training, so we may not have to post, but just as a courtesy, probably would do so. Just, dot the i's, cross the t's on that particular one. Then a couple other just general announcements. First of all, the state legislature has completed and published the North Star Extension Study that was required on the last year's legislature. We were not a party to that study. I don't think we were even interviewed, but if you're interested, I'll send out the link so you can look at that. Second of all is just noted that Xcel Energy has a meeting notice about public hearings on increased gas rates. 2 of them are in our area, one at Big Lake and one in Blaine. I'm going to pass this around so you can write down the specific information, and we'll be posting that. They've asked that we post that on our public data so that you can take a look at that and share it with folks who might be interested in talking about rate increases with Xcel. Next, Northland Reliability Transition Line Project. Just an update on that. They have looking for some input on that, and I know a few of you have been tracking that, so I'll pass that around as well for correspondence. If you're interested in getting a full copy of that, just put your initials on top, and Keisha and I'll make a copy of that for you. And then finally, for paperwork, Baldwin Township is considering incorporation. We did receive a notice that they've amended their petition. It appears to be a minor amendment, but our staff will take a look at it and let you know if there's any issues with it. Apparently, there's a discrepancy between annexed land with the city of Princeton. And then just a note, if you're interested, the New York Times ran an article a couple days ago about one of our neighboring county attorneys, Mary Moriarty. It's a very interesting read. As you know, we've dealt with some of the Hennepin County issues because of that. So if you are a subscriber to the New York Times, you may want to look up that article from 2 days ago. And then finally, just a note, I know we'll be talking about Ms. Arnold's retirement, but I'd also note for the board that our Veteran Services Officer, Bruce Price, has also tendered his retirement plans. I'll have that scheduled for board discussion in May so that you'll be able to congratulate and thank him appropriately at that time. With that, I'll stand for any questions. I know we're going to have a legislative discussion here at the end of the meeting.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Just for clarification, with the Xcel Energy gas rate increase request and Big Lake, Xcel Energy only serves a portion of Big Lake for their gas needs. The other portion is CenterPoint Energy. So I just wanted to make that clarification for the record.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So, excuse me. So then we can move on to next part of our regular agenda. First item will be consider approval of proclamation declaring April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Amanda Larson, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm actually going to have Julie Milsna start, and she sits on their Safe Child Council.
Good morning. My name is Julie Milsna, and I'm the supervisor of the Licensing and Intake Unit. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Sherburne County Safe Child Council recognizes the importance of children, families, and communities working together to prevent child abuse and neglect. Prevention services and support developed by this collaboration help to protect children and strengthen families in our community. everyone can play a role in supporting families. This year, to assist and help raise awareness, we promoted child and family safety through an art project in the schools. Safe Child Council collaborated with Coburn's and Big Lake schools, grades K through 12, to promote awareness. Children had the opportunity to draw colorful pictures or messages specific to the topic of keeping children safe. Once these colorful bags were completed, we added a Safe Child Council bookmark that outlined numbers and where to report child abuse and neglect. The best part of this project was instead of customers leaving with plain, boring brown bags, groceries were packed in colorful rainbows, hearts with beautiful messages. While this topic is often heavy, we embrace the positivity and honored children in our community. Everyone can protect our children. In closing, I have a picture of the day that we dropped the bags off at Coburn's. Coburn employees were so excited to partner with us and already have ideas for next year. This year we started small, but next year I'm hopeful to move this activity into all of our schools and to share community awareness within Sherburne County. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to hand this out?
Yeah.
Julie's going to hand out the bookmarks provided by our Safe Child Council, and I'm going to read to you the proclamation. Whereas child abuse prevention is a community problem and finding solutions depends on involvement by people throughout the community. Whereas the effects of child abuse are felt by whole communities and need to be addressed by the entire community. Whereas effective child abuse prevention succeeds because of partnerships created by parents, practitioners, schools, faith communities, healthcare organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse. And whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas Sherburne County has dedicated individuals and organizations who work daily to counter the problem of child abuse and to help problems obtain assistance they need. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promote the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. Sherburne County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month and acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promoting the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment and help them thrive. And I think the proclamation says 2022. Oh, it says 24. Mine says 22. Never mind.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval of the proclamation.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Is any further discussion?
I just want to make a comment and just say huge gratitude for honoring and protecting our children each and every day.
Anyone else? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda will be consider approval proclamation declaring May 5th through the 11th, 2024 as Correctional Officers Week. Yeah, we're maybe not ready for that one right now.
I think, I don't know if Joel's going to be able to make it, but Dan's here, so we could ask Dan if he wants to accept it for the sheriff. And then either you or I could read it if you'd like, so.
You can read it if you'd like.
I can read it?
I have it
Okay.
right in front of me, so.
Dan, you get to go to the other podium there and accept this, so. So we do this annually, but I think it's really important to note the work that goes into being a correctional officer in a county jail, especially here in Sherburne County, because we're right on the heels of the metro, and sometimes we deal with issues that a traditional Minnesota county would not. And so really this is important that we recognize this. So you guys can communicate that to Dan. He can share it with the sheriff after we're done, but I'll read this first. Whereas in 1987, Congress passed and President Ronald Reagan signed Public Law 99-611, proclaiming the first week of May as National Correction Officers Week. And whereas the operation of correctional and detention facilities represents a crucial component of our criminal justice system, And whereas correctional officers play a vital role in protecting the rights of the public to be safeguarded from criminal activity, and whereas correctional officers and personnel are responsible for the safety and dignity of the human beings charged to their care, and whereas correctional personnel work under demanding circumstances and face danger in their daily work lives, often sacrificing personal and family time to provide the necessary but thankless, unrecognized, and behind-the-scenes services to the public. And whereas the staff of the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office has continually demonstrated their skill and professionalism in running one of the finest facilities in the state, and I would add, in the nation, now therefore be it resolved that I, Greg Felber, Chairperson, Sherburne County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the week of May 5th through the 11th, 2024 as Correctional Officers Week in Sherburne County, and encourage all citizens to recognize the commitment and outstanding contributions made by Sherburne County's correctional personnel. Dated the 16th day of April, 2024.
Thank you. I guess at this point, we'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Haltz,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Danilowski. Any further comments?
No, I just want to say thank you to all of our correctional officers in our county and for the good work that they do and what they put up with and what happens in our jails. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And Mr. Chair, I'd like to echo that as well. I just want to thank the professionalism of our law enforcement officers at the county, law enforcement and correctional officers. They are an outstanding example of their profession.
I would add myself that having done 6 years in detention facility myself, working,
Great
thought I should, yeah, I thought I should clarify that.
That's clarification, yeah.
It was, it's a very, very difficult job, and it's a job that not everyone can actually do. It's probably one of the more difficult jobs out there in public service, and I really do appreciate that people are willing to stand up and make a career out of it. Thank you very much. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you for the acknowledgement.
Thanks, Dan.
So I just want to note, Greg, you know, Commissioner Foby's keeping a book of Gregisms. I actually think we're going to elevate this to a button bar. I think I need to get the audio on some of these. So.
Outstanding. Okay, so.
Is that 6 years?
How many volumes is that going to take?
So, here we go. So, consider approval of a proclamation declaring April 30th as National Therapy Animal Day.
So this was a new proclamation that was requested by Commissioner Halls to recognize the value brought by some of our four-legged friends to really well-needed therapy. Commissioner, I'll defer to you if you would like to read this or talk about it beforehand.
Yeah, I'll talk about it, but I'll let you read it.
All right.
Yeah, this was brought to me by a constituent, and you know, as a veteran myself, I understand the importance of these animals as a very important part of treating PTSD and our combat vets coming home, as well as elder care as well. So I thought this was well timed and an important thing to do.
And I would note that your staff, as well as the court staff, are evaluating the possibility of a structured therapy animal in the facility. Obviously, we have to deal with some personnel issues, you know, allergy issues, health and human service issues, but if schools can figure it out, I think we can figure it out as well. With that, I would note one notwithstanding, and that is Keisha and I have tested the potential, and it's gone well so far, but we'll see. So we each had our puppy come in one day, and there definitely is an uptick in excitement and morale when you see a beautiful animal in the facility. With that, I'll read the proclamation.
Can I add one more thing, Mr. Chair, before you read it, Bruce? Thank you. And there is a real concerted effort by organizations to get therapy animals into the schools, and I'm proud to say in Big Lake, 3 out of our 4 schools have this. and it really has gone over well. It started out for students, and now it's transitioned into for staff as well. So that what we're doing here definitely plays out in real life.
Yeah, I actually still remember in my daughter's elementary school days, a beautiful golden retriever in with the counselors. And it made all the difference in the world for some of those kids. So thanks, Commissioner Danielski, for sharing that. A proclamation celebrating the amazing work done by therapy animals and their human companions. There are thousands of therapy animals serving in communities across the United States, and whereas April 30th has been designated as National Therapy Animal Day, and whereas scientific research shows that interacting with therapy animals can reduce stress, relieve depression, slow heart rate, lower blood pressure, and strengthen the immune system, and whereas therapy animal teams in Sherburne County play an essential role in improving human health and well-being through the human-animal bond, and whereas therapy animal teams interact with a variety of people in our community, including veterans, seniors, patients, students, and those approaching end of life. And whereas the exceptional therapy animals who partner with their human companions bring comfort and healing to those in need. And whereas we encourage more pet owners to consider becoming volunteers to help our community by creating greater access to meaningful therapy animal visits. Now, therefore, I, Greg Felber, Chair of the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2024 as National Therapy Animal Day in Sherburne County and encourage our citizens to celebrate our therapy animals and their human handlers. Further, I publicly salute the service of therapy animal teams in our community and in communities across the nation. Proclaimed and approved the 16th day of April, 2024.
Outstanding. Entertain a motion at this point to accept.
I'll move approval. Sorry.
Colby?
I'll
I'll
second.
rescind that. You move it.
I'll move for approval.
Yeah, that's appropriate.
Just a second.
And I'll second.
Okay, that works also. Any other further discussion? I would like to,
Go ahead. No, I just wanted to say that, all its proclamations that we've done this morning, maybe I'll be pop in circumstance to everyone, but these are very important issues in regards to it. And the recognition that all of these individuals and animals receive, I think is important, and that's why we take the time to do this.
Personally, I've seen therapy animals operate in schools, colleges. I've seen therapy animals that actually travel to the scene of critical incidents, and I'm very much in favor of those programs. And a little personal shout out to Soldier 6, who does provide therapy animals to veterans and police officers and other members of law enforcement who are suffering from PTSI or PTSD. So I'm a huge fan of therapy animals in general. So it's they're great programs and they're great for people. I'd love to have them in the building. So all those in favor say
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Let's see. So next thing will be consider approval of an interim use permit for 1 megawatt solar farm, replacing permit number 68655 MNCSG 15 LLC.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
I'd like
morning.
to start out by introducing you first to Sarah Milkey. She's new to our office. She's been in our office 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. She's replacing Addison, who was in our office previously. She comes to us from Polk County, P-O-L-K, up in northern Minnesota. We're really excited about some of the skills that she's going to be bringing to our office, and she'll be working both half solid waste and half zoning, working on variances. So I'll give her a moment to say hello.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and so I'm actually originally from Hastings, Minnesota. Spent the last 5 years up at Polk County Planning Zoning, but I'm glad to be getting back to this area near family and trees. I don't really recommend prairie in the winter. And I've really enjoyed my first month here, the great teamwork atmosphere, and just looking forward to getting to know more staff and citizens in Polk County.
Welcome.
Very much. Well, welcome to the team.
Sarah.
Thank you. All right, so this is property that is owned by Penny and Thomas Hammer Jr. And this is 50 acres in Clear Lake Township in the Ag District and within the annexation orderly zone 3 for Clear Lake. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 19 conditions that are in your packet.
Okay, can we entertain a motion at this point for approval?
I'll move for approval.
Commissioner Gray moves for approval. Second.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
Mr. Danilowski, any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So this is a reissue of an expiring permit. So I understand that. I think I've said it before. I'm not a huge fan of the solar fields, but I also want people to be able to get value out of their land, and I think that's, it's a property rights issue. My concern right now is, and I don't think it applies to this particular piece, but it's something that I want to look at. About a month ago, there was a 2,500 acre solar farm in Texas that was hit with a significant hailstorm, and it destroyed the entire, nearly the entire solar field. Our requirements, as it stands right now, is we require a surety bond to ensure decommission of the solar field, and I believe it kicks in 2 years after non-use of the field. Here's my concern. I would like us to look at in the future something that would take into account what needs to happen if the field is significantly destroyed. And so it's not necessarily for this particular piece because this is something new to investigate. But my concern is, for example, the field in Texas. The concern is that because the panels themselves are compromised, the concern is about cadmium leaching into the groundwater. Now, the manufacturer states that these particular panels don't contain any cadmium; they contain primarily silicon. I don't know what the right answer there is, but I still worry about having a field sit for a period of months and years with significant damage and not have a more immediate cleanup requirement. So I would like to look at that for something that we can look at in the future to start adding into some of these solar programs.
Okay, any further comments?
Lynn, this one only is what? It's not full 50 acres of the parcel number. It's only what, 10 or 12?
Usually they're 7, 8 acres.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And there's an existing facility right next to it?
I believe there's 2 others that have been approved on this property.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. The next will be a consider approval of an interim use permit for activities requiring rural isolation outdoor fitness facility.
And I would note that the applicant is here if you have any questions. So.
Oh, outstanding. Thank you.
So this
I'm just picking on her because she's here for her husband, so.
So this is replacing an existing permit, and we're increasing the maximum number of clients allowed on this property from 14 to 40. They've been operating out on the site. The zoning office has not received any complaints. This is located in Big Lake Township in the General Rural District. They own 112 acres. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 15 conditions and the findings of fact.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, we'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Danilowski makes the motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Philby seconds. Any further discussion?
Yeah, this is one of those situations where I think they didn't have to come in to ask for a different thing. They could have just done this and skirted the issue, but I think they looking forward, they dotted all their I's and crossed their T's, and they did the right thing. In this situation, I think this is great.
Mr. Chair, I also just want to commend the owners, Jim and Carrie, for doing the right thing. As Commissioner Gray said, when this first came to us, we had a number of neighbors that were nervous about it, and they were nervous that this thing was going to happen in their neighborhood, and it's proved to be just a great addition to the area and the neighborhood, and I appreciate them doing the right thing and coming forward to increase the capacity of the activities and the people. So, thank
And
you.
it's not very often we have neighbors show up at Planning Commission and say, this has turned out really well. We don't have issues and
know.
we wish them well. So
That was
it was
so
very
great.
nice to hear that.
It was really good to read that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to comment on too. So they're definitely being good neighbors in the operation of their business, and it's a business that is, I think, going to continue to grow. And they've done a good job of what they have out there to work with. It's definitely for the people that are into that really heavy-duty, I forget what you even call it, but you're really putting yourself through a workout when you get out there and do their course and stuff, so.
I think it's a good challenge for the county board and
Oh,
staff.
goodness.
See, I was just.
Just had an idea.
I was.
just had an idea.
Great idea.
I was
No.
waiting till after you voted, and then I was going to suggest a board retreat out there. So
I
yeah,
think
I'm
a
with you on that.
Board and staff leadership retreat.
There we go.
It's more of a structural integrity. I mean,
Yeah, and again, I'll say that everything we do behind this dais affects public health, and this is another situation where we're approving something that's going to affect public health.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
okay, so, any other comments?
I'll work on the date.
All right, so, yeah, I mean, I think these types of programs are fantastic. I'm glad we have one in the area. It's a great deal. So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see, and the next item will be to receive, review, and accept the Auditor Treasurer's monthly report for March 2024. Good morning.
Morning, Chairman and Commissioners. This is the packet that provides a lot of information to you. Yeah, we got 17 pages worth. So to get going, enclosed in, and I hope you had an opportunity to go through all of the information that was in there. First of all, we have the March trial balance that was prepared by our accounting manager, Sherlyn Casper, and she's also here in attendance. And along with that is a 3-page investment report prepared by Finance Officer Lorraine Rupp, and she is also here. We're happy to announce that our investments are currently above our 2024 budgeted target. Earnings are $578,520.94 for the year over budget by $253,520.94. So, and we're ahead of last year's March at the same time. Our Recorder's Compliance Fund, which is I keep track of that monthly, is included in the general fund balance, and that total is $430,290. Then, and that was those first 5 pages with all the information on there and all the investments. On page 6 is our budget to actual report that I've been providing to you for, I guess it's now over a year, you know, each month, providing that information and stuff to you. And this is how we're sitting so far. We don't have a lot in right now for property taxes. As you know, property taxes are coming in. We're getting multiple payments and stuff in. We've noticed that a lot of people, when paying their property taxes, are paying for the full year. So it's a little bit of a switch up and stuff, but I think they just want to make sure they've got things taken care of and not have to worry about missing a payment on that. Next, we'll move into the annual reports and updates. So we've got on page 8 there, you've got the 2023, what's it, page 8? Let's see. Oh, I skipped one, excuse me. Let's go back up to page 7. We've got the 2024 actual tax capacity values, and this is for all the cities, townships, and the school districts. And then we also have on the right-hand side, there's a tax year comparison, and this update and stuff has been put together by my property tax manager, which is Bonnie, and she's here as well. And the next year is just a comparison, so you can kind of see where the values and stuff are from the 2023. Then we move into, on page 9, we've got the 2024 actual tax rates. So these are the rates that have been calculated for our 2024 tax statements that went out in March. And there's a comparison then to the 2022 actual tax rates on page 10. And then I did a side-by-side for the last 5 years, or 6 years actually on there. So on page 11, we've got from 2019 to 2024, the tax rates by taxing authority. And you can kind of see that's a good comparison as to where the tax rates and stuff are flowing from year to year. And it goes also includes the school districts in that as well. Then on page 13, I do a county statistics and provide the current information on population that we have compared to our county budget, less the income, which would be our program aids and so forth that we have, less income, less the program aids, equals our net levy and the taxable market value, their net tax capacity, and our county tax rate. And that gives us then down to the effective tax rate, which is now decreased again to 0.41%. So all the information is provided there, and that is for the last 10 years of information on there. Moving on to page 14, this is the taxable market value. It's just doing a comparison from 2023 to 2024 in the different categories between ag, timber, seasonal, non-ag totals, apartments, golf courses, commercial, industrial, and so forth. And you can see that in most categories there was an increase, there was a decrease in commercial and mobile home area. And there was also a decrease in public utility and railroad operating. So there was a net increase, though, of $1,256,977,872 was an increase in taxable market value for 2024. Then the next pages, and I've been doing this, well, we've been doing this for a number of years, since 1996. And these are on 4 parcels that are with Xcel Energy, and this is just based on the building and operating machinery. And this is just keeping track of the history. The first page is your the net tax capacity on that and the market values. The next page is where it breaks it down into the net tax capacity totals for the county's portion, the city's portion, and the school district. So it just gives you, the comparisons and stuff on those 4 parcels. Then the very last page we have for you is the top taxpayers in 2024. And I provided that copy to you. I have got also, I will hand that out. And I've got copies for everyone here that I can provide that for you. All by taxing entities.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There's just a lot to. So as you can see by this report, the one that I provided in your packet was for Sherburne County overall. And that is the first one that's on here. And then the next one goes into Baldwin, into all the townships. So you can see by each one of the taxing districts, the cities and the townships, where their top taxpayers are. In relation to their location in there. And then the very end would be all for the school districts. Does anyone have any questions? I know it's a lot of information.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions, though I just wanted to make a comment that as I'm paging through this rather quickly, I do notice that there's a good number of apartment complexes that are high-end taxpayers. And I just want to make a note of that because a lot of people don't think that apartments pay taxes.
That they're paying their fair share? Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, they are. Yep.
So at this point, would entertain a motion to accept the report?
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Gray,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Danilowski. Any further discussion?
Just thanks for all of the work. This is a lot of information, and
It
thanks for
is.
providing it.
It's actually kind of fun when I have the time to put it all together.
It's really interesting, and there's a lot of details in these sheets, so really appreciate it, and all the staff for putting that together.
You are welcome.
Yeah, also, I'd like to mention, these reports have just been fantastic. And I mean, I really like how everything's broken down, and it's very, very easy to understand for people who don't do numbers, which would be me. So, it's great, and we're gonna miss you so much. That's all I can
Well,
say.
I am going to miss everyone as well, but yeah.
Well, we haven't accepted it yet, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're not to that
There is
point yet.
We'll
so
move on
just-
to that here a little bit later.
That is true.
So, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. And then the next will be, consider resolution 041624-AD-3140, accepting the retirement of Auditor Treasurer Diane Arnold. Bruce?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Greg, do you want me to read this then, or do you want to read it?
You can.
Okay. So as was announced yesterday, Auditor Treasurer Arnold has decided to retire. Reluctantly, we are having to accept that today so she can make plans. Graciously, she is going to continue to lead the ship at least through early July, which is amazing for us. And some of her leadership staff is here, as you know, and already after announcing yesterday, the emails and comments have been pouring in, but not just congratulating her, but noting, as you said, Mr. Chair, that we're going to miss Diane's leadership in the area. So what is requested by the board is to formally accept her notice of retirement. And then obviously in the next week or a couple weeks, we'll sit down with the board and talk about the process for appointing an auditor treasurer for the remainder of the elected term, which is actually about 2.5 years. So we can have that conversation later today. We just want to recognize Diane. And so the resolution is to accept the retirement of the Honorable Diane Arnold, Sherburne County Auditor Treasurer. Whereas Ms. Diane Arnold will retire effective July 9th, 2024, after more than 34 years of outstanding and meritorious service to Sherburne County, the last 17 of which have been as the elected County Auditor Treasurer. And whereas Diane's professionalism, her leadership, her knowledge, and her steady hand will be sorely missed by those who have worked for her, worked with her, and worked beside her throughout these many wonderful years. And whereas in accepting Diane's announced retirement, the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners wishes to congratulate Diane on the culmination of an amazing career in service to all of Sherburne County and all of its residents. Now therefore be it resolved that the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners does hereby extend to Diane our sincere and grateful appreciation for her dedicated service to our community, our congratulations on her well-earned retirement, and our best wishes for the continued success, happiness, and good health in the years to come. Be it further resolved that the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners joins with county staff and so many throughout this community and the state in wishing Diane all the best in retirement by declaring July 9th, 2024 as Diane Arnold Day here.
Okay, that part I didn't know about.
Here in Sherburne County, approved this 16th day of April, 2024.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval.
Mr. Chair, I'll reluctantly make it a second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I would just like to say Thank you so much, Diane. You have done so much for this county, and your leadership role as our elected Sherburne County Auditor Treasurer. You will be deeply missed, but you definitely have earned your retirement. I stopped to visit with Diane before the board meeting and wanted to express to her personally that you definitely have earned your retirement and your opportunity to spend it with Tim and your family and doing things that you deserve to enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service.
Any further?
Mr. Chair, and this is a reluctant acceptance, but I really admire your decision and really grateful for all that you have given to the county. And we will have many days ahead to thank you before you leave. So thank you for giving us the months to prepare.
Yep.
And I, too, just knowing the Arnold family for the last decades, that, you know, in my entire adult life, I think Diane has spent it here at the county. And I think change is good, but yes, this is be sorely missed, and her expertise and knowledge and leadership is going to be tremendously missed in the future. Thank you.
I just want to add, we have great staff in place. I'm fully confident in our staff, and they are awesome. I mean, I feel very comfortable in leaving Sherburne County in great hands. And going forward, it's going to be, my hopes and wishes is that it's going to continue as such.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Now, who's in charge of planning Diane Arnold Day? And all the festivities.
Carmen's in on it, so we'll get
There
her
we
planned.
go. Yay, keep us updated.
Those big life-size or bigger than life-size Diana Arnold heads we should have. All of us. Yes, that you see at basketball games.
Yes.
It's going to be
Dogs gonna be so
fabulous.
happy.
The fat heads.
When you're home all the time. Let's see. Next item on the agenda will be receive an update from the Sherburne County Agricultural Society. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thanks for having us. My name is Jenny Axelson. I am the president of the Sherburne County Agricultural Society Board of Directors. We are made up of 11 volunteers who in the past year have spent over 4,200 hours of volunteer time working on the fairgrounds and planning the Sherburne County Fair. That doesn't account for the numerous hours the board members spend attending classes that are provided by the Minnesota Federation of County Fairs or the International Association of Fairs, or when we are attending or volunteering at other fairs and community events. I myself recently graduated from the Institute of Fair Management in December with the degree in fair management, and I have moved on now to graduate school for fair management. Go over some numbers for you. In 2023, the fair had 15,820 people attend the fair, 106 open class exhibitors, 374 open class entries, 130 4-H exhibitors, 1,198 4-H entries, 96 volunteers, 9 nonprofit partners, 173 people utilized the fairgrounds for winter storage last year. And the county does give the fair money to maintain the buildings and the grounds. Last year, we received $34,150. And we spent on grounds and building maintenance $51,720.80. Open class, we spent $2,085.93. on free entertainment for our fair visitors was $35,251.27. Grandstand events, $50,797.10. In UBIT taxes, we paid $9,610. That's anything unrelated to fairs that happens, so winter storage pretty much. Utilities, altogether, we spent $23,229.92. And I have a breakdown of that, which electricity was a little over $13,000 we spent. In the past couple years, the fair has focused on improving the fairgrounds, the buildings, exhibitor and visitor experiences. We have hooked up to city water, painted buildings, put in a veteran flag memorial, removed overgrown flower beds, cut down dead trees, purchased a bunch of new raised containers for flowers, purchased new swine pens, purchased all new poultry and rabbit cages, purchased cattle dividers, purchased a scale so 4-H could weigh their animals, put in manure bunkers, put in an HVAC system in the office, made buildings ADA compliant, or ADA accessible, replaced fencing, installed surveillance cameras, hooked up fiber for internet and phone, purchased sunshade and canopies, because if you've been to the fair, you know we have no shade. We started a Senior Day Business Expo during the fair, a backpack giveaway, and naming rights to building and structures on the grounds. In 2023, there were 54 events that happened at the fairgrounds besides the fair, and that's in 4 months. So that's something happening out there all the time. 52 of those events were held by nonprofits or Sherburne County itself. We allow nonprofits use of the grounds at cost or below cost. If we had charged them to use the grounds, it would have been $33,675 in rental fees. We allow them to use the grounds as our way of giving back to the community, and it's nice to have something going on at the fairgrounds all the time. This coming fair, we have some new events happening. We have Redneck Races, which is a demolition derby on a racetrack. Emotion in Motion, where you paint, splatter paint kind of thing. I don't know much about it. An aerial stunt show, a church service, and a lot of new food and commercial vendors. But we will also have the carnival, free entrance for veterans every day of the fair, daycare day, dance for individuals with special needs, the demo derby, bull riding, bingo, medallion hunt, fair family of the day. Along with planning the fair, we are spending our time replacing doors on buildings, tin on buildings, hauling in Class 5 to repair the roads, replacing more fencing, redoing the horse wash stations, working with the city of Elk River to incorporate a car/truck/tractor/motorcycle show that will be held in conjunction with Elk River Fest. And we have just partnered or working on a partnership with the Elk River Public Library and the National Independent Concessionaires Association to do a Read to Win at the Fair program, where the kids will get free entrance into the fair, a free ride, and I'm going to work with some of the vendors to get a free food item for the kids. Any questions?
That's a lot. So what do you do in your spare time?
I attend other fairs.
That's a great update. Appreciate you coming in to do that.
Thank you,
Jenny, and appreciate all that you're doing to
Thanks.
move the fair and do more things to attract attendance and other things. It's not an easy task. Definitely get that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yes, I don't have any questions. I just appreciate the update, and I think a meeting or two ago, I really would like the breakdown of the county support of the fair, and you mentioned some of those figures, so that I appreciated that. And just I am looking for more at just the partner of what's the responsibility of the five of us with regard to the fair and those types of things. And I should know that after this many years, but it's not super clear. So, and I live up in the Princeton area, so the Mille Lacs County Fair is in my backyard.
We do the Mille Lacs County Fair too. Our fair board goes up there and runs their beer garden for them.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
partner with 5 other fairs. Yeah, any
Okay, so
connecting
like
county.
Benton?
Benton County, Anoka County, Wright County, Mille Lacs County.
Okay.
I was actually supposed to just be getting back from a fair in Australia. I was going to work for a month there, but I had to stay due to my parents' health issues, but
Okay.
I would have been gone.
But yes, really appreciated your report and all that you're doing for our fair.
Yep. Mr. Chair, just to add to Jenny, I appreciate you. We want to be a good partner as well. And so it's nice to have the public understand that Sherburne County does put support towards the fair. I know I see occasionally on Facebook that there's some comments otherwise, so I do appreciate that, correcting that. And I also know that you have a lot of good volunteers that are helping to keep the fair going as well. Without them, I know it would be a struggle, but I know you have some really enthusiastic.
We have one of the youngest fair boards in Minnesota too.
Really?
I am the 3rd oldest on the board.
Okay.
And I will be having my 17th annual 35th birthday this year.
Well, happy early birthday.
Thanks.
And I do know I have the privilege of working with, I think, 3 to 4 of the board members through the Spud Fest.
Yeah.
They do have a passion for the fair system, so that's good to hear. So thank you for that update.
Yes.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, so I think we've got a meeting set up tomorrow where we're going to have some discussions. I really appreciate having an update like this. I would like, as we have these discussions about what what the long-term plan is for the fair, and what sort of a strategic plan for the fair, I think it would be very helpful to do this on an annual basis, and then kind of have a discussion on what's happened with that strategic plan, or, what was in the strategic plan for that particular year, and what got done, and what we learned. Because as we go through a strategic plan, it's as good as the paper it's written on, and it's obsolete the moment the ink dries.
Yeah.
So we have to react to changes in environment and those sort of things. But I think it would be very helpful to continue to have these discussions and really see a multi-year path for what we want the fair to grow into, and especially with the amount of different fairs that the board is involved with. I think that's an excellent opportunity.
Thank you.
One other thing, Mr. Chair, I for one will be looking forward to those sunshades. Because you're right, it's a very sunny.
Yeah. Very sunny.
Yeah, I'll reiterate what Commissioner Hull said. I think we need to have a plan moving forward, but I think as the county grows, the fair should grow. I think that's the proper way to go about it, so.
Okay, so at this point, we can entertain a motion to accept the report, I guess.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Hulse and Commissioner Gray. I'm just going to add that I also am really looking forward to seeing a long-term plan for it. I really am a big supporter of 4-H, and I do want to see that we have a good, solid plan for our fair coming in the future. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. Let's see. So the next item on the agenda will be receive the 2023 Health and Human Services Department Annual Report. And again,
Thank you. Tony's going to hand out our annual report, so I invite you to look through that as we present. So good morning, Commissioners. Appreciate you taking the time for us to present our 2023 annual report. As you know, Health and Human Services is the largest, second largest county department. We have lots of moving parts and different lines of service, and so we really like to get up in front of this board briefly to touch on some of the significant activities that happened in 2023, and also maybe give you a brief overview of what's going to be happening on the horizon this year, although you also know that the majority of our work is heavily dependent on the state legislature, so we'll just have to see how that goes. Real quick, just an overview. At the end of 2023, Health and Human Services had 232.25 staff, 5 divisions and 17 units. It sounds large, but we've really only netted 12 levy-funded positions over the last 5 years, which is an increase of 5%. And then also, you know that an FTE is not an FTE in Health and Human Services land. We've got a lot of different revenues and reimbursements. And so of those 12 added positions that are levy-funded, 5 of them also had 50% reimbursement. 1 of them had 67% reimbursement, and 2 actually prevented lost revenue, totaling about $203,000. So I am in charge of the administrative division, so one of our divisions. So just real quick, that's accounting, clerical, and then also some of our planners. So just a few brief things to note. Our admin division, you will see that we have decreasing agency collections on page 4, and this is due to, again, changing legislation. And so we have adjusted internally our staff complement, reducing by 0.5 FT in our accounting department. Also, our debt owed to the agency decreased significantly. And with clerical, we are significantly underrepresented on support staff of an agency this size. 60% of our clerical staff scans mail incoming to the agency. And so just a preview that there's a technology solution on the horizon that would significantly impact that, probably allowing us to attrit 1 clerical staff. Don't get me wrong, we could do a bunch of different things with that 1 person, but at the same time, really looking on the horizon of technology, both for scanning efficiencies as well as form creation, which I think is 6 or 7% of that. Our clerical unit supported 4,300 walk-ins in 2023, and then also supported our 232 staff. Gina's going to talk about our economic supports division, which is healthcare, family financial assistance, adult and supportive housing, and child support.
Good morning. As Amanda stated, I'm Gina Anderson, and I oversee the Economic Supports Division. I'll start with the child support team. As you can see in the chart, they have federal outcome measures required to meet that impact federal performance dollars. Similar to last year, we were above the statewide average in all areas, but still did fall below the target, as did every other county in the state, unfortunately. This just appears to be a continued result of COVID and recovering from that. So there has been, the good news is there has been a slight increase in collections from the previous year to last year, and so we're hoping to see that continue to rise and looking forward to that. I do credit the child support officers with really concerted engagement with their clients. I credit that to the rise that we're seeing. They've had a strong focus on that. So again, we're hoping to see that continue into this year. I would have to say that the biggest focus for my division in this past year has been all things healthcare related. So when the healthcare emergency ended in May of 2023, it began the monumental task of the unwinding of 21,000 enrollees on healthcare. So as you are aware, a waiver was introduced that allowed for continuous coverage for anybody who was active on medical assistance at the time the pandemic started. So that meant that whether you increased your income, got married, got divorced, had a baby, it didn't matter what happened in any of those circumstances, we were not allowed to act on it. If you were open on medical assistance, you remained on medical assistance. When the healthcare emergency ended, that's when the waiver ended and began the tedious work of the unwinding process. So our healthcare teams and eligibility specialists who process healthcare have been focused on that effort since June of last year, and that effort continues. It's monumental amount of work, unprecedented. We've never seen this type of work before, and it has really required all hands on deck. And so I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge all the other departments and staff within HHS who have helped us with either marketing to letting people know that their renewals are due again and they need to do this in order to stay active, collecting documents and verifications from them. Our clerical team has had an influx of work from all the documents coming in, allowing us to, getting them to us very quickly to allow us to process quickly. And we have had teams that have taken on work, so we've moved work away from our healthcare teams to other areas. Accounting has taken on some work for us, for example, allowing us, again, to further focus on the renewals processing. And in our efforts to continue to always be fiscally responsible, we moved 3 staff members from other teams, so our family financial assistants, our adult supportive housing assistants, and our child support teams all essentially gave up a position that were moved to the healthcare team in order to, again, just try to, as best we can, stay on top of this work and serve our clients to the best of our ability. IT has been tremendous in their support for us as well with this work. We've relied on them heavily. Our database administrator has done work enhancing and updating our on-base EDMS system to streamline work. So it's been a very strong concentration of effort to get this done, and that work continues. I'm also want to express appreciation to the board because we did have 4 positions that were ARPA funded to help with this effort. They've been on with us for the last couple of years. And again, without having that additional staffing, we would not be able to serve the clients in the way that we are. And although you may see wait times for people calling in or people waiting a little bit longer, this is the least of what I'm hearing is happening at many other county agencies. So I really credit the dedication and passion for this work that these staff really are putting in everything to get this done through the unwinding effort. And I hope I didn't miss anybody, but I will say our case aides as well, and you will note there's a chart on here with the number of calls, emails, walk-ins that they see. They have really risen to the challenge and are a tremendous support for our teams as well.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Gina, I'm just curious, and I know this has been a huge undertaking, but it is supposed to be accomplished by May 31st of 2024. Are we going to meet that target?
So the renewals unwinding is allocated through a 12-month period. But what happens, so yes, it's a yes and a no, I'm sorry to say. So the actual unwinding effort is a 12-month period due to end at the end of May of this year. However, the work has only increased because, as you can imagine, we've got 21,000 enrollees that were required to submit their renewals and be redetermined for eligibility, and not everybody has returned their renewals. So what happens is we're getting new applications at the same time people are closing. People also have a 4-month period, so they might close, but we give them additional 4 months. That's through federal regulation. They have an additional 4 months to submit that. So even after May closures, people will have still time to resubmit their renewals. And because this focus is so concentrated on these renewals, and it's required to be, the state has given us direction that our focus needs to be on the unwinding, it means that other areas are not getting done. And so thus creates a backlog of work. And so after May, we're going to be very grateful to not seeing the thousands of renewals coming in every month, yet at the same time, the work that has been put off and backlogged, the new applications that continue to come in, and through this process, the Center for Medicaid Services has also introduced new legislation that requires us to do things we've never had to do before with keeping people on. And so there's still going to be a significant amount of work even after the actual renewals unwinding is completed. The work will continue. And to that end, we did receive an allocation of unwinding money from the state. And we've been, again, very fiscally responsible in holding on to that. And the goal will be to utilize those unwinding monies to support staffing as we need it to get through the backlog of work.
I just want to say thank you so much for all of your hard work, everybody that's come together to do this huge monumental task in working together. And we are Sherburne County, and we'll get it done.
I appreciate that so much. And again, such credit to this board for allowing us those extra positions through ARPA. It really, we would, I don't want to think about the position we would be in if we had not had that. So sincere appreciation for that as well, and all the support. And then I'll just quickly touch on our other areas. In the family and adult units, we really saw a leveling off of our cash assistance request as well as our SNAP food support request. So we've seen that level off, but we did still see higher requests for childcare assistance. We did overspend by 125% on that program. However, that overage was covered by the state because so many other counties underspend, and we know that it was anticipated. But the good news is that means that more people in our county are getting back to work and need childcare assistance. So it's always good actually to see that. And it also increased our allocation moving forward because the state recognizes that if we're overspending, we need more money. So that's actually a positive. And I think that is all I have. Are there any questions?
Any further questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Nicole Ruhoff with the Public Health Division, and I'll just do a quick update just because I'm very fortunate to have time with the board at the Community Health Board meeting. So just to say that we've had a significant amount of growth in a lot of our service-connected programs with individuals, such as family home visiting and WIC, women, infants, and children. We've also seen increases in the demand for car seat distributions, refugee health assessments, and infectious disease support, in particular with tuberculosis and hepatitis B. And then for some of our other programs that are less one-to-one individuals, we continue with our statewide health improvement partnerships, and we've gained some additional partners this past year and look forward to working with them so that they can incorporate health ideas into their organizations. A lot of work will be done in 2024 around public health emergency preparedness as we have some new grant funds to really expand that work. And then looking forward to 2024, we are entering into that next phase of our assessment and planning and the community health needs assessment. And so we'll be doing a lot of work around with the community and other organizations to really collect that data and help inform our next improvement plan. Any questions?
Any questions?
All right, and I'll pass it off to Tony.
Okay.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Tony Masters. I am the manager of the Adult and Disability Services Division here at Sherburne County. I will be brief. The units that are within my division are the Aging and Assessment Unit, so that includes MnChoices and our service area for folks over the age of 65. That area has been relatively stable over the course of the last year. It also includes the CAC-CADDY BI waiver unit, CAC, Community Alternative Care, CADDY, Community Access for Disability Inclusion, BI, Brain Injury Waiver Unit, and our Developmental Disability Service Area. Both of those units support individuals with varying types of disabilities. This is a service area where we've seen the most growth over the course of the last few years. So if you look at the data between those two units, we've had a 37% increase of individuals served over the course of the last 3 years. So fairly significant increases. You know, we've seen these increases occurring going back, I think it's about 9 years now. As part of Minnesota's Olmstead Plan, we were no longer able to waitlist people that are in need of waiver services, and they opened up the allocations given to counties, so they were no longer limited to a certain number of people counties could put on in a given year. So that's where we've seen that growth occur based upon that Minnesota's Olmstead Plan. We did see a spike in our adult protection area and the number of adult protection reports that were screened in 2023. You'll see a jump of roughly 77 folks that we had received adult protection reports on. We've seen some growth in that over the course of the last 2 years as banks became mandated reporters for financial exploitation. You know, one of the themes that we've seen over the course of the last year within adult protection is the increased complexity of the financial scams that people are encountering. It's very sickening to see what's occurring, and our outreach staff in adult protection is working on some presentations to bring out to our community to keep folks up to date on the various financial scams as they evolve. In October of this year, we rolled out our HOPE unit. HOPE is Housing Outreach, Pre-Petition Screenings, and Engagement. Pre-petition screenings are Health and Human Services role in the civil commitment process. So I think, you know, it's nice to have a unit that's dedicated to housing and outreach, and I feel like we've really hit a stride now with where we're at in those program areas. Thankfully, we did see a plateau in the number of civil commitment requests that we received in 2023. There was a sharp increase back early in COVID, I believe in 2020, where we saw a 25 to 30% increase in the number of requests that we're receiving. So thankfully, we've seen a plateau on that. Hopefully that's a trend, not a mirage. And with that, I guess I will open up for any questions you may have.
Does anyone have questions?
Mr. Chair, I had one. Tony, when you're talking about wanting to put together some outreach opportunities in regards to the financial scams that are out there, who are you planning to meet with and where?
You know, primarily we're looking at focused at seniors. So the thought right now is that we would try to work with senior centers, different locations, senior dining, those types of locations, customized living or assisted livings, programs that typically work with the elderly. Now, the individuals with disabilities are also very susceptible to, you know, these types of scams. One of the places that I'm hopeful will be open to having somebody come in and talk about it would be like an options in Big Lake to present on some of the financial scams that are occurring. And it's constantly evolving, and so it is nice to have those people that have the finger on the pulse of those scams that are occurring.
Yeah, no, thank you for looking at that as an issue that needs to be addressed with education opportunities and such, because it is it's horrible what these people will do to our elderly and our most vulnerable.
Absolutely.
So another partner in that, if I may, Mr. Chair, would be Central Minnesota Council on Aging. I serve on that Joint Powers Board, and we've had those discussions almost every meeting, so.
Okay, well, I'll make sure that that's part of the conversation.
Yeah, they're just, as you know, they're in charge of much of our senior dining in our county, so.
Excellent.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, thank you.
About 2 months ago, we had a resignation of our division manager for Children and Family Services, so I'm the acting interim division manager, so go easy on me. The last part is our Children and Family Services area. So as you'll see, page 31, we are up slightly in our child protection assessments. However, we did not meet the state threshold for seeing kids face-to-face within state timelines. That was due in part to, we were in front of this board for our child protection COOP, continuity of operations plan, where our staffing just did not support the influx. I'm thankful to say we have stabilized, and since that time we are in a really good space, especially because we were able to hire and retain quite a few child protection season workers from other counties. So sorry to them. Good for us. Although we did not meet timelines, we did prioritize in terms of safety within our staff resources. As you know, it was an all-hands-on-deck affair, and so we really prioritized all staffing resources. So just also want to highlight our centralized intake. In 2023, we had 6,189 unique calls for service. 2,472 of those were social worker calls. We divert social worker calls to child protection and vulnerable adults, and so those were maltreatment calls. Our children's mental health area saw a decrease from 153 kiddos to 126. That's good. However, less kids don't always mean less work because in terms of the increasing complexity, the family situations, we're really working hard to prevent placements wherever possible. You'll see in 2023 that our out-of-home placement costs were actually the highest I think they've ever been over the last decade, 15 years. And so we are seeing more acute needs with our kiddos now. We are continuing to place effort on prevention measures, so MIRAP, which is motivational interviewing, intensive wraparound services, family group decision makings, and a post-permanency role to prevent disrupted adoption. So again, trying really hard to stay ahead of that out-of-home placement. So with that, I just want to close by saying Health and Human Services has excellent staff. They are a tremendous group of individuals. We are known for our innovation. We do a lot with not a lot of resources. We are very resourceful, we're creative, we're collaborative. I'm incredibly grateful for the team and these managers represent the leadership up in Health and Human Services. And also I'm tremendously appreciative to this board. I just really appreciate the support. I know our staff feel it, I feel it, and just always welcome questions, tours, meetings. I know we've had quite a few commissioners come up and sit in on pre-placement screenings or take a tour or just sit down and talk with me. And so I just really hope that continues because I think the more you understand, the more you become part of our circle. So any questions?
Further questions or comments?
One question, Amanda. I'm looking at the truancy referrals and the process that we have set up with the step one. And I don't know if those are high numbers compared to what an average amount of truancy reports would be, but it's good to see that that step one does drop off significantly when you continue on to the other two steps. So by the time you get down to actually having to have a truancy petition filed, those numbers are really low compared to the first step. So that's good to see that program working.
Thank you. Truancy, we've really revamped. I've been at the county for 10 years. I would say every year there's been a change to the truancy process. And so we're really trying to meet the needs of school partners. Truancy is the tip of the iceberg because kids aren't truant just because they decided to skip school 7 or more times. And so we're really working on mental health and resources. And again, parenting. Teaching parents how to be parents, teaching parents, getting parents the help they need so then they're able to support their kids in school. And so that's just a continuing ongoing. But yes, the goal is to keep kids out of court.
Yeah, and I just am curious too that, you know, I think the pandemic brought about a change in mindset somewhat as to, you know, do they really need to be in school all the time? I think we're kind of seeing some of that as well, so it's good to see that we have a very good program put in place to educate that process. So thank you.
Yeah, and I'd just like to reiterate, HHS is so complicated. That's a fluid thing, and I just want to thank you for everything you've done in providing 38 pages of glorious reading for us that will be such an engaging topic that will probably go through it, but we will have questions, at least I will, in the end, so.
Used to be a lot longer, so.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm not done.
Yes.
Okay. The numbers in here, I'm like jumping out of my skin. The numbers of people you serve. If these numbers aren't a huge indication of your office affects every person in our county somehow, if you look at the numbers through here. And what's become so clear to me, and partly I think I get a lot of what you do because I serve on Central Minnesota's Jobs and Training, Central Minnesota Mental Health, TRICAP, the library, Central Minnesota Council on Aging, SHAC, the multidisciplinary team, which I've realized now, my passion, my background, social work, I need to share those with the people here so they have a touch point that's more clear with what we do. The other thing, I know I'm all over the board, 2 calls in the last week have made it clear to me that our community doesn't know what we do. And so how do we tell our story better, that this is such a critical part of county commissioners' work and what this county board decides? I know we go out to townships and cities at times, but I really want us to think. They know about roads and bridges and public works. They know about public safety and the sheriff's office. They don't know about this as much, and it affects every person in our county. I've been on the phone and in emails with a passionate plea for a vulnerable adult in the last week. And it's become so clear to me, the person that tipped the person off to me as a commissioner called me and said, I know you county board members don't do this vulnerable adult stuff. I said, wait a minute, it's a huge part of our job. People don't get it. I think many county commissioners don't get it. How many resources are put into it and how many lives we affect. So, enough said. We need to get our story out there more. I want to talk a bit with you, and maybe you already do it. Go to townships, cities. We need to have them on a SCAT agenda. Our area township supervisors. Somehow, public health needs to be at those meetings once a year at least. So I'm asking for how do we get our story out that this is more than a third of what a county commissioner's responsibility is. Thank you. Thank you to all your team.
And thank you for those comments. So at this point, we would entertain a motion to accept the report.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Gray,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Danilowski. Any further discussion? I think we've covered everything very well. Commissioner Phobie really is passionate about these things and covers it very well for the rest of us who are less informed. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the next will be to receive the American Rescue Plan Act update and consider recommended approvals and expenditures.
Good morning, Commissioners. This week we have several projects to discuss, but if I could just take a quick second to thank Diane for all her work as someone who has probably been a pain in your neck, constantly asking for reports and data. I've always appreciated your responsiveness and your professionalism, so thank you and congratulations. We do have several projects that are under the $50,000 threshold, so I've asked the project managers to come up and talk a little bit about each one, and the first two are with the IT department, so Brian's going to talk to those.
Thank you, Chair and Board. First two items on here are IT items enhancing the Sheriff Department services. The $40,000 is a networking switch. We currently share a switch between the county's set of servers and the sheriff's set of servers. Where that lays us is if that switch were to fail, all of our applications for the entire organization would be lost. We don't want to be there. So what we are asking to add is a switch where we'll separate those two servers. And then if one of those switches fail, we only lose half and only have to work on half the organization. There are redundancies in this project, so you know, the chance of failure of either of those is greatly diminished. A switch is good for about a decade, so this switch that would be $40,000 we'd use for many years to come in this capacity. The other item, the $7,000 item, is an improvement of our in-house cellular network within the sheriff's CID area. There's currently not good cellular coverage, so this would add additional antennas to our existing system. And with that, there's some labor time because you have to retweak and rebalance all those antennas across the organization as you make those changes. So those are the first two items on there. So thank you, Board.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian, for that. Also, is there any, I know that it's important to make sure the cellular service is working in our sheriff's department. How about the rest of our building?
Yeah, so we have in-house cellular through most of the rest of the building. We continue to look at areas that aren't served. As you know, we're a changing organization. We may, use a room we've never used before, so we take a look at those services with that. So we welcome and work with all departments on our cellular and come back in-house and rebalance things as need be to help best ensure those sorts of services.
Yeah, because I find this one of the hardest buildings to use a cell phone in when I'm trying to have a conversation with someone who is in the building. And
Okay.
they have to go by a window and stand on one foot with their arm up in the air.
Right. Yeah, I'd be
A
glad
fair
to.
statement.
I'd be glad to work with you, Rayanne, and.
No, it's just not me. I'm talking the
No.
building.
Right, but some of this, there's multiple carriers and there's multiple services and there's different phone types, so there's all sorts of troubleshooting we do.
Okay.
So I'd be glad to use your device and what you're doing and see it firsthand so we can help balance some of those things.
All right.
And some of the windows are bad. So in our new part of our building, we have ultra low V windows to help reduce our energy usage and things like that. They also block cellular signals from the outside world. So if you go closer to a window, sometimes you get worse reception. You may have to go internal to the building. So yeah, I'd be glad to work with you one-on-one. Like I said, we continue to work with areas and try to improve those. I know Bruce has a particular
That's who
problem in
I'm
his
referring to.
office.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's my problem.
I know Bruce's office is a notorious spot within our building. We've tried, how many times, Bruce? 6? 5?
I think you do it always right during budget time just to make a point, so. Yeah, no, mine's clearly Windows interference, because if I go further in, it's better, so yeah.
Yeah, and that's always one of the struggles. You'll go closer to the windows and it bounces outside rather than the inside network, and yeah, we just need to continue to work on some of those areas, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Outstanding. Any further comments?
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval of those items.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And then next will be Housing Outreach Specialist.
Hi, good morning again. Dan said I can't talk about the ones that are over 50,000, but really when you look under the housing outreach specialists and the healthcare assistance case aid, the reasoning for the two are exactly the same. And so really this is just our ability to shift grant dollars to elongate the staff, the grant funding and the reimbursements for it. And so we're shifting, you were all part of a board workshop on housing, you know that that's a grant funded service area of ours. And so by using ARPA for 2023, or 2024, then we're able to shift those grant dollars to extend that position. Same with healthcare assistance, case aid. By doing that, we can use ARPA dollars for that position, and then we're able to use healthcare unwinding dollars for something else. So.
Okay. Can I entertain a motion to?
Wait.
Typically, we approve all 4 under 50,000 at once.
That's what I thought, yeah.
And then the
Okay.
ones over 100,000 or over 50,000 get approved individually.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
Keep
have
going.
Gina come up and talk about
All right.
Rams Park project.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to present this ARPA funding request for added security measures in 2 of our county parks. We're recommending these improvements specifically for Grams and Island View to do several things. To increase safety, to protect the county's investment in infrastructure, to reduce and discourage violations of the county park ordinance, and evaluate the system to determine if it is a good path forward for other park facilities, especially the county's newest Park 2 inlets at Badehe, Haka, Omashkus, Saga'agans. The features of the cameras include high-resolution video, infrared for enhanced low-light visibility, live stream feed, remote monitoring, multiple users,
the ability to set parameters or rules that will trigger notifications for especially extreme violations, 30-day on-camera storage, and 90-day cloud storage. We've solicited estimates and received 2 quotes, and we're requesting $35,000 to cover the hardware and 3 years of software subscription for the system.
So staff would be looking for a motion to approve the 2, the housing outreach and the security cameras. We could do that as one.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. And then we're on to our next section.
The out-of-placement costs. Amanda, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Nope. Entertain a motion for those 2, I believe.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Denlowski motions.
I'll second that.
Gray seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Motion carries. I think that.
Well, the last would be the
Broadband
healthcare
commitment
assistance, which was a transfer from another project that was unused. We would request allocating them funds for this project.
Yes. Okay. Motion to approve that.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Gray.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Denlowski. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, can you repeat that, Dan?
We had several ARPA projects that came in under budget, so the unallocated funds that won't be necessary for those projects would be transferred to this project. So it's not an additional request of ARPA funds, it's just transferring from one project to another.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. And I
Mr.
think-
Chair, I have one real quick question. What do we have left in our ARPA funds?
About $150,000.
All right.
But a lot of projects are coming under budget, so that this is an example of where we're shifting funds around to reallocate to other projects. So that number's constantly changing depending on final cost for each project.
And we'll have all those numbers in, and any of the under budget items will be able to come back to us in plenty of time to get
Absolutely.
allocated.
Yeah, we're on it.
On track. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And then one last request on a broadband project. Midco will be applying for a deed border-to-border broadband grant. And if awarded the project, it would serve 114 unserved and underserved properties. And you can see the map that Keisha just brought up. It's on the northeast corner of Baldwin Township. At this time, Midco is seeking a $10,000 commitment from the county if the grant were to be awarded. The township has already granted $5,000 to the or committed $5,000, and the total project cost is expected to be about $550,000. So this is a small portion of their cost. It was part of our round 1 application period, so they have applied for this, and we do have allocation still left in the original broadband allocation by the county board. So we're seeking approval of the Midco draft commitment letter that was included in the board packet. So we're not awarding the money at this time, we're just committing if the project were to be awarded, I'd come back and ask for those funds.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval.
Commissioner Phobie moves for approval.
I'll second.
Commissioner Denlowski seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep, that's it. Okay, so then on to Commissioner correspondence, committee reports, upcoming meetings, and future agenda items. Who would like to go first?
Sure.
Mr. Gray?
Got my list here. April 5th, I went to the U of M Research Building, their new facility on XL property. They put up a new building. They had a ribbon cutting ceremony. It's great, great building for agricultural research. It will be moving forward. They're going to partner probably a little bit with the SWCD and some of their tree planting and stuff like that. I did attend on the Blue Hill and the Palmer Township meetings. Nothing eventful there. On April 10th, I met with the governor's staff in regards to nitrates in the groundwater. That's going to move forward. The consensus of the MICA group that was there was that any money that would be given should be given to the SWCD because of the boots of the ground of local area of what's going on and how to implement some of these processes that are going to go through to eliminate nitrates in the groundwater. Right after that, we met with Senator Putman's staff and reiterated the same thing. Then we had to make a board meeting for 2 hours. I went through the legislative agenda on that. On April 11th, I went to the I had the coffee with the SHAC committee about that and transportation and how it affects public health, which was a good discussion. I was only able to stay in with top of it because I was attending the Soil and Water Conservation Board meeting that day also. And that's about it for me.
Okay. Next. Okay. However, want to go?
April 3rd, I attended the Tri-County Solid Waste Executive Board meeting up in St. Cloud. That was just kind of a discussion that we had due to some things that Pope Douglas was requesting, so we reviewed those, and we'll be bringing that back to the Tri-County body for further discussion. Also attended the Solid Waste Advisory Management meeting that evening, and we attended to a few items. We were excited we put out a request for applications to have some alternate members for this group, and we got 6 applications, so that was pretty good. We are not used to seeing that kind of interest. So we did choose 4 applicants that will be brought forward to us at a future meeting for approval on the recommendation. We also did a review and considered some SCORE grant applications. We put money into, for the City of St. Cloud and their compostable bag program, which we have 1,267 accounts that are a part of that for Sherburne County. We also approved a crystal cabinet request for the purchase of what they call a big squeeze pan and pail crusher and a stand to put it on. And this is a way to crush their metal cans and be able to keep, they figure, about 7.5 tons out of our landfill. And this will then go to be recycled at Malacca Iron and Metal. So we thought that was a good use of SCORE grant dollars. Also, we considered the amendment to the SCORE budget for the Emerald Ash Borer Reserve funding. We know that this is going to be something that's going to be coming at us more and more as the Emerald Ash Borer unfortunately makes its way through our ash population, and so more of this money will go towards the 4 compost sites to manage those that wood that they feel is going to start coming in. Also, we've supported the School Recycling Incentive Program and the SSO Institutional Recycling Program. April 4th, attended the Central Minnesota Area Transportation Partnership, which is also known as our ATP3 meeting. That was up in Baxter. Attended to a few things in regards to authorizing some of the transportation projects for this area. April 5th, I attended the Community Resource Center discussion at Liberty Elementary in Big Lake, and we are looking to have conversation with them at being our interim potential Family Resource Center site until the site that we're looking to have in the future is able to get built. So, and they're very open to the discussion on how they could be a part of that process while that happens. April 10th, attended the CMA Community Partners Assessment Health Meeting via Zoom. A lot of good discussion and a lot of people that play a role in how we keep our area community partners healthy in all needs, mental, health-wise. Also attended the NACO CEWD meeting. That is regards to economic and workforce development. Attended the township board meeting that evening. Nothing really too much other than there was a discussion at what they were being asked to look at in regards to some changes to the shoreland overlay They had some questions on that, so we're working on addressing those questions with Lynn in the Planning and Zoning Department, so more to come on that. Also, April 11th, attended the APO board meeting up in St. Cloud. That's the area planning organization that we are a member of with the St. Cloud APO, along with Stearns County, Benton County, and ourselves. And that's pretty much it. Your turn.
All right, so it's actually a busy week, a busy couple of weeks, and a busy upcoming week. But as mentioned earlier, on the 3rd, I attended the Solid Advisory Committee just to touch base a little bit more on that. So some of the key projects there are the pilot program for organic waste, so that we can, it's pilot on a couple of institutional facilities so that we can establish a baseline and then grow that capability. And then on the Emerald Ash Sports, the additional monies that were established there were specifically for grinding that the local sites may need. On the 4th, I attended the Mississippi Watershed Executive Board meeting. Once again, that watershed's a couple years behind the Rum River Watershed. So Rum River Watershed is in the implementation phase. Mississippi Watershed is finalizing their plan and their metrics to be submitted to Bowser to continue with that and set up their implementation program. Then on the 5th, I met with Congressman Emmer's Chief of Staff to talk about priorities for the what we see as a county as priorities, and also what he sees. And then met with Bruce, and we had a discussion over several administrative items, including things around the Fair Board and our upcoming meetings this week. Then on the 6th, I spoke at a local convention and met with several constituents on constituent issues and their concerns, which then on the 9th attended the Tech Steering Committee meeting, which is our standing meeting that we have on the progress of implementing systems. Specifically, we talked about the new phone system that's going in the county. And I think that was enough.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, can I quick add one thing before you
Sure.
go? Thank you. I just wanted to also say that in regards to, I did have some constituents conversation on County Road 83, and I do want to also say that we are working on putting a meeting together with the residents on County Road 83. I've had the conversation with Public Works, so that is in the works.
Thank you very much. Mr. Phobie.
Okay. Great River Regional Library Development Committee met. Since part of Great River Regional Library is also a 501c3, this is the fundraising arm of that. I serve on that committee. Please donate to the libraries, is my message. We have an employee resource group called the Pride Alliance that I've been attending as an ally. June is Pride Month in Minnesota, and stay tuned, there will be a potluck on June 25th and also a lunch and learn in June. Nonprofits United with Kat Sarf met up in Princeton, gathers all the nonprofits in the area that are interested in joining, and talks about what each one is doing. I find it really helpful for those nonprofits to try to get out of their silos a bit and talk about things that they have in common. EMC Executive Committee met, Micah met, we're going to talk more about that later. SHAC, I was also on the transportation, the Coffee and Conversation Transportation morning meeting, and the key takeaway that I had for that is that volunteer drivers at this stage of transportation in rural communities are critical. And I serve on the TRICAP board, as you know, and one of our best things in the last year is we hired a volunteer coordinator for just our volunteer driver program, and it has grown by leaps and bounds. But if anyone out there would like to be a volunteer driver, whether it's for our Veterans Office, our HHS office, I see Tony back there shaking his head, TRICAP, there is opportunities. I think these are going to be some of our areas that really grow. TRICAP does what it can, but it doesn't serve a lot of people. So think about being a volunteer driver. What else is coming up? Central Minnesota Jobs and Training. We met last Friday. That's a group that meets once a month from about 8 in the morning till 1. So just so you know, it's a long meeting, many different components to it. There's going to be an AI workshop coming up that's open to the public and to businesses. So I should send you all something about that. And then met with the NACO Resilient Counties Advisory Board, talking about some changes with FEMA to their policies and procedures to better serve communities and individuals, and then typical constituent calls and emails.
Is that it? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Well, then for me, I actually didn't have as many meetings the last couple of weeks as I ordinarily do, but I was really surprised at how I just ended up not having any free days because of all the other constituent stuff and things that were coming up. So sometimes, just mentioning that kind of on the job, is that sometimes you don't have a lot of this other stuff going on, but so many other things come up that you are still fairly busy. But nonetheless, the Violent Offender Task Force is working on training issues. I sat in on the NACO Public Safety meeting, and they were talking about wildfire, which doesn't affect us as much here. There was a discussion on drug courts with Judge Stoner from Oklahoma, and they were talking about drug courts and how they work in some places and don't work as well in others, and that was an interesting discussion. Discussion of federal spending, there's going to be significant cuts, probably to public safety coming up down the line. DNR, I went to the DNR Sand Dunes open house. They talked about illegal camping issues, the forestry management plan, and then they're hoping to get up to full staff so they can adequately maintain. There's only 2 staff for the region for these parks, Lake Maria, our Sand Dunes Park. So they're trying to get, they're at 50% cut right now. They're down to 1 person. So they're hoping to get another person so they can do a better job out there and get caught up on what's being done. I went to coffee with the mayor, Mayor Dietz in Elk River. We had a lot of questions about road projects in the fairgrounds, which we've covered quite a bit here today already. I went to our new state representatives, congratulations, meeting for Brian Lawrence up there in 27B. I sat in on the CMA Community Partner Assessment the other day, and they were talking a lot about social determinants of health, confidentiality, and then there was a questionnaire that is coming out to counties to continue that discussion. One of the more important things I did pick up there, or at least me personally, is there is a military mental health coalition meeting on April 25th up at our military mental health workshop that's going on up at Camp Ripley. So that's there's an online sign up for that for people who are interested. That's probably a very good thing for folks. And then I was able to review the items from the Housing Summit that was held on March 22nd. Those got sent out to us the other day. So that got me caught up on that stuff. And that's really all I have at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I have one more just shout out to Wes Davis, who's in our Public Works Department, a newer person in our Public Works Department, but there's a state corridor planning advisory committee being named, and there's a couple different, there's a policy crew, a TAC crew, technical advisory crew, and Wes Davis volunteered to be on that, and so we accepted that or will be forwarding that appointment as the AMC Executive Board. So thanks for Wes for stepping up to that and bringing Sherburne to the table. So.
Outstanding. So I think at this point, we will just go right ahead and recess our regular meeting and go into the Open Ditch Authority because we are a bit behind. So let's do this one quick and then we'll take a
Yeah. And then we'll do the resets before the workshop, if that's okay. All right? Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just want to start off saying congratulations to you, Diane, on your upcoming retirement. Appreciate your leadership and guidance for the last 14 years now. It's hard to believe, but it's been since 2010. So best of luck to you and your family, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Okay, so I guess I would need to approve the ditch authority agenda.
So moved.
So
I'll second.
seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries. And now we can receive the ditch drainage technician's report. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. I really don't have a lot to talk about. February and March. There was really nothing going on. I never received one phone call. The ditch lovers, they're at about an all-time low, it seems like. So whatever rain we get in this next day or two isn't gonna do anything. But we are gonna get started on County Ditch 32, replacing that tile line off of 169 and County Road 25. Finally gonna get started Thursday morning. Seems like I've been talking about it forever, but we're finally gonna start digging. So, in June, I'll have all kinds of stuff for you to look at and updates, and maybe something else will come up too. But other than that, that's all I have for you today.
Well, thank you very much. I think the beavers might be getting busy on, right at County Road 5 and 10 again. Just
Okay.
that southwest corner. Looked like it was a little backed up. It could just have been spring thaw, but it looked a little back up in there.
It's very possible.
Yeah, where they were playing last year, because they just can't resist it.
Unfortunately, that is not a county ditch.
Yeah, okay.
But, you know, if they have the culvert plugged or something like that, that's something that our maintenance department addresses.
Okay. All right.
But it'll, next time I'm out and about, I'll drive by there and check it out.
Okay. Thank you. Guess we'd entertain a motion at this point to accept the report?
I'll move approval to accept the ditch authority report.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I think at this point, we should take a break before our regular workshop
What time do you want us back?
and close the ditch authority meeting.
What time do you want us back?
I would say 10 minutes, maybe?
Perfect.